Hello, friends. Welcome back to another lesson about the interdependencies. We've talked a lot about those, about who depends on who and where some of the things that we like come from. It's been pretty exciting. And maybe in our last lesson, when we looked at who the farmer needs, you might have seen some other relationships happening there. Well, go grab your card set. It really doesn't matter which card set. You can follow the same pattern we're about to go through. And grab a piece of paper and also some colored pencils. And you're going to want one color for each of the cards that you bring over. And so these are my cards right here. I've got the shoemaker, the toolmaker, the baker, the dressmaker, the farmer, and the butcher. And I'm going to start with the farmer. But I'm also going to get the rest of these all out and ready to go because I want to show you something new today. Something very interesting. Okay, ready? Let's talk about that farmer. What does that farmer do? Which needs new shoes. Where does she go? She probably goes to the shoemaker to go get those, right? Okay, so the shoemaker supplies the farmer with shoes. But that's not the only thing a farmer needs. A farmer also needs tools, as we've discussed, right? So the farmer goes on over to the toolmaker, and the toolmaker supplies the farmer with tools. It's pretty nice. Farmer needs other things too, though, like clothing. Clothing is very important. So when the farmer has a rip in their overalls, they'll probably go over to the dress or clothes maker and get some clothes. So the dressmaker supplies the farmer with clothes. That's fantastic. Oh, here's the baker hiding down here. And, you know, if the farmer's hungry for some bread, they're probably going to go over to the baker and get some bread. Pretty nice, right? And then, of course, if they want some fresh meat, you can come on over to the butcher, and the butcher will supply them with meat. Wow, this is pretty cool. Look at all these things that the farmer needs. Let's talk about someone else here. How about the dressmaker? Because, you know, I can even see in this picture here, that dressmaker needs tools. When you're sewing and making all sorts of dresses and clothes, you're going to need tools every so often. So it seems like the toolmaker also supplies to the dressmaker. How fantastic. You know, I think the dressmaker probably has to eat. And so the dressmaker probably goes over to the farmer and says, hey, I'm hungry. I need some food. So the farmer actually supplies the dressmaker with food. But not all the food. Don't forget that we've got the butcher over here who could supply the dressmaker with some delicious meat. Yummy. Okay, and of course, the dressmaker also wears shoes, just like you and I and anybody else. So there we go. And I bet they like bread, too. Do you like bread? I do. Oh, okay. Well, let's get you some bread. How fantastic. So it seems like the dressmaker is able to get everything they need from everybody else, too. Oh, we should keep trying this, because the butcher's up next. And I bet the butcher needs to eat, so the butcher probably goes and talks to the farmer to get some of that. Maybe they make a nice little exchange there. And the butcher also needs shoes, so probably goes over to the shoemaker to get some shoes. I know a couple butchers, and they all wear clothes too, so we can get an arrow going over to the butcher for clothing. I think butchers eat bread too, unless they are gluten-free, so let's go ahead and do that. Very nice. And a butcher uses tools, right? Well, with almost any job you seem to need tools, so let's make sure we get an arrow going there as well. Wow. So the dressmaker, the farmer, and the butcher rely on other people for things. Well, do you think the rest of our friends here rely on the others for things? Let's talk about the baker, for instance. Baker probably likes to eat meat. The baker probably uses tools like oven and maybe a spatula or something like that. So we'll need some tools from the tool maker. Bakers eat. They also are using that wheat. So they're going to pay a visit to the farmer as well. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that bakers wear clothes and shoes. So let's make sure we've got some clothing heading over to the baker as well as maybe some really marvelous shoes. Wow, and the toolmaker. The toolmaker probably also wears shoes. Be sort of weird to be walking around the workshop barefoot. And probably eats bread, because bread is great. And maybe some meat on that bread. Maybe a nice sandwich at lunchtime. And that sandwich is probably made with maybe even some vegetables or some wheat from the farmer. Pretty nice exchange there. And tool makers wear clothes. They need somewhere to put things like pockets and that kind of stuff. So probably taking a visit over to the dressmaker. Fantastic. Well, that just leaves the shoemaker, producing for everybody else and not needing anything, right? No way. Of course, our shoemaker may need to eat some meat. And probably eats other things besides meat. And probably wears clothes. Even though they can make shoes for themselves, they probably wear some clothes and visit the clothes or dressmaker. Oh, and definitely tools, the hammers and little nails and all the other things that a shoemaker might need come from the toolmaker. And I bet that shoemaker likes to eat bread. I do. Well, that's fantastic, because we've got an arrow for you to show that you're getting some of that bread as well. Oh my goodness. Look at this crazy webbery we have of interdependencies. It's fantastic. I might get tangled in it. And imagine if we had more friends here to compare. Where do they get soda from? Or how do they get entertained? Or maybe there's some other things you can think of that might be part of this flow of goods. It's pretty amazing. There seems to be an exchange between almost everybody based on what they provide. Well, but what happens if one of them don't need something, but the other does? Well, that's a story for another day, my friends. Why don't you try this out with one of your card sets and then head on over to the next follow-up for this one. I'll see you there.